At exactly midnight, when the grand corridors of Windsor fall silent and palace lights dim behind centuries-old stone walls, something deeply human begins to unfold inside one small royal bedroom. It isn't ceremony, it isn't protocol, and it certainly isn't tradition. It's the quiet voice of a child born into unimaginable privilege, yet still searching for comfort in the darkness. According to several royal observers and insiders who have spoken about the emotional pressures children can face within highly structured royal environments, Prince Louis has often been described as lively, energetic, and full of personality during public appearances. But like any young child growing up under extraordinary public attention, there are moments the world never sees. Moments that happen far away from cameras, far away from palace balconies, and far away from carefully choreographed royal events. Because behind the perfectly managed image of royal life, there are still bedtime routines, childhood fears, and emotional moments that every parent in the world understands. And those private moments, according to reports about royal family life, can sometimes carry pressures most children never experience. Growing up in an environment where history, expectation, and global attention surround you from birth creates a unique emotional landscape. Royal children are raised with love and protection, but they are also raised with responsibility and constant public observation. And that balance isn't always easy. Observers have often noted how deeply protective Catherine is as a mother, frequently described by royal commentators as someone determined to provide as normal and emotionally supportive an upbringing as possible for her children despite their extraordinary roles. But even the strongest parents cannot shield children from every emotion, every question, or every late-night fear. And tonight, we explore those emotional realities behind royal life that rarely make headlines. Because sometimes, the most powerful royal stories aren't about crowns or ceremonies, they're about childhood. Before we continue exploring this deeply personal side of royal family life, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We focus on thoughtful, respectful storytelling that looks beyond headlines and explores the human side of historic families. If you enjoy emotional royal documentaries like this, subscribing really helps support the channel and ensures you never miss future stories. Inside Windsor, evening routines follow a structured rhythm. Dinner, family time, reading, and eventually, bedtime. Royal staff, who traditionally help maintain daily routines for royal children, have often spoken in interviews about how structured and calm nighttime routines are carefully designed to give children stability. Yet, like many young children around the world, Prince Louis has reportedly been known to experience occasional bedtime anxieties, something child psychologists say is extremely common between ages 3 and 6. Experts explain that children at this age often process emotions through imagination, dreams, and symbolic storytelling. It's how young minds try to understand feelings they cannot yet fully explain. According to royal biographers and family observers, Louis has always been known as the most expressive and playful of the 3 royal siblings. But children who are emotionally expressive often also feel deeply. And those feelings sometimes appear most strongly at night. Child development specialists explain that bedtime is when young children process their day, their fears, and their attachments to loved ones. Many children speak about imaginary comfort figures, comforting memories, or dream-like conversations as they learn to self-soothe emotionally. This is not unusual. In fact, psychologists consider it part of healthy emotional development. Within royal households, however, even ordinary childhood behavior can feel magnified because every detail is watched, discussed, and sometimes misunderstood by the public. Royal staff historically maintain strong confidentiality. But royal commentators have often described how raising children within palace life requires balancing emotional openness with institutional privacy. Catherine has frequently been praised by parenting experts for encouraging emotional expression in her children. She has openly spoken about mental health awareness and the importance of children feeling safe expressing emotions. Observers say she has worked carefully to create warmth and normalcy within an environment shaped by history and expectation. And William, according to multiple royal sources and interviews, has spoken passionately about wanting his children to grow up emotionally supported in ways that reflect lessons learned from his own childhood. Because William has been very open about the emotional challenges he faced growing up under public scrutiny and personal family tragedy. That experience shaped his parenting philosophy deeply. And it is widely believed that both William and Catherine prioritize emotional stability above royal formality when raising their children. Experts in child psychology explain that children growing up in highly visible families often develop stronger emotional attachments to parental figures. This can result in stronger nighttime anxiety when separated from parents during sleep routines. This is not unusual. In fact, it is often considered a sign of strong emotional bonding. Royal watchers frequently note how affectionate and present Catherine appears with her children during public events, often breaking traditional royal formality in favor of visible warmth. That approach has been widely praised by modern parenting specialists, because while royal titles shape public identity, childhood still shapes emotional identity. And children, regardless of status, still need reassurance, comfort, and security. Growing up inside palace walls may seem like a fairy tale to the world. But experts remind us that children do not experience castles or crowns. They experience parents, routines, and emotional safety. And sometimes they experience fear of darkness, separation anxiety, or vivid imagination, just like any child anywhere in the world.
As the royal family worked carefully to maintain stability behind palace walls, one quiet concern slowly began growing stronger inside Catherine's world. Not because of headlines, but because of patterns she couldn't ignore. Parenting experts often explain that children express emotions through repetition, repeating drawings, songs, or stories as they process feelings they don't yet fully understand. But when those patterns begin appearing consistently, parents naturally start searching for answers. And according to royal observers, Catherine is known to be extremely attentive to her children's emotional development. Those close to royal family life frequently describe her parenting approach as deeply protective, warm, and emotionally aware. So when Prince Louis began repeating certain drawings and melodies that didn't appear to come from familiar sources, it reportedly caught her attention. Not as fear, but as concern. Royal commentators have often highlighted how Catherine works intentionally to create a peaceful and emotionally stable environment for her children, something she has publicly supported through her early childhood development initiatives. However, like many parents, she is said to watch closely for emotional signals that children sometimes communicate through art and imagination. Child psychologists widely explain that drawing is one of the strongest ways young children process emotions. Many children repeatedly draw comforting figures or symbolic faces representing safety, protection, or familiarity. And according to royal family observers, Louis reportedly developed a habit of drawing the same female figure repeatedly. Sources describe the drawings as gentle and detailed, showing a calm, smiling woman with distinctive soft features. Experts would typically interpret repeated imagery like this as a child expressing emotional comfort, imagination, or curiosity about family history. Not unusual, especially in families with strong historical legacy. The British royal family carries one of the most emotionally complex public histories in modern times. And within that history, Princess Diana remains one of the most globally remembered royal figures. Her legacy continues to influence how younger generations of the family are understood publicly. Child development experts often note that children growing up in families with strong historical legacies naturally become curious about relatives they never met. This curiosity can sometimes appear through drawings, questions, or storytelling. That curiosity is considered a normal part of identity formation. Royal biographers frequently discuss how William and Catherine have chosen to speak about Diana with warmth and respect, allowing their children to understand family history in healthy and age-appropriate ways. Because understanding family history can help children feel connected to identity and heritage. According to royal commentators, Catherine has always been known for balancing emotional warmth
with responsibility toward royal tradition.
Observers suggest that moments where parenting emotions intersect with royal legacy can create unique emotional challenges. Because royal parents are not only raising children, they are raising future public figures. That pressure creates situations where even ordinary childhood curiosity can carry deeper emotional weight. Sources familiar with royal life have long described Catherine as someone who quietly seeks guidance when faced with parenting uncertainty. Not political guidance, not institutional advice, but personal and emotional support. And many parents watching this story may understand that instinct completely. Because when a child shows emotional patterns you don't fully understand, the natural reaction is to seek reassurance. Modern psychology offers several explanations for children who display strong emotional or imaginative connections to historical or family figures. Experts describe something called family identity curiosity. This happens when children, especially between ages 4 and 7, begin forming emotional understanding of their family past. Sometimes they express this through imagination, storytelling, or symbolic emotional figures. Psychologists emphasize that this is typically healthy and often reflects emotional intelligence and strong family attachment. It does not suggest memory of past events or supernatural experience, but rather emotional processing and identity development. Within royal institutions, however, emotional narratives connected to historical figures can become sensitive subjects. The royal family represents stability, continuity, and public symbolism. So, when public discussions revisit emotionally complex historical periods, palace advisors often focus on protecting privacy and maintaining stability. Royal historians frequently explain that Princess Diana's legacy remains deeply respected, but emotionally delicate within palace culture. Not because of secrecy, but because of the emotional impact her story still carries for the family and public alike. And whenever public curiosity returns to that chapter of royal history, it naturally brings intense global attention. Children ask questions adults sometimes struggle to answer. That is universal. But when those questions happen inside one of the most globally recognized families in the world, they carry amplified emotional pressure. Royal commentators often describe how modern royal parenting tries to balance transparency with protection. William, in several public interviews, has spoken about wanting his children to understand their grandmother's legacy in positive and emotionally safe ways. Because he understands better than anyone how public history can shape private childhood. For Catherine, observers suggest the situation represents a deeply human parental experience. Not fear, not panic, but the universal parental instinct to understand what your child is feeling and how to guide them safely through it. Because behind royal titles, she is still simply a mother, watching her child grow emotionally and intellectually. And parenting inside the royal spotlight means every emotional moment must be handled with extraordinary care.
Inside royal history, there have always been moments where private emotion collides with public legacy. But few moments test that balance more deeply than when childhood innocence intersects with unresolved family history. And according to royal commentators, tensions inside palace circles were no longer subtle. They were becoming personal. Because when family legacy becomes emotionally sensitive, even simple conversations can trigger consequences far beyond the nursery walls. Royal observers have long described Catherine as someone who rarely engages in direct conflict. Her reputation within palace life has always been built around diplomacy, calm communication, and emotional intelligence. But parenting changes priorities. And sources familiar with royal dynamics have frequently noted that Catherine's strongest public identity has never been royal tradition. It has been motherhood. According to royal commentators, conversations regarding how royal history should be introduced to younger family members can sometimes create deeply emotional debates. Because history inside the monarchy is not just education, it is identity, it is legacy, and sometimes it is unresolved pain. Observers suggest that disagreements about how much of that history children should be exposed to can create intense private tension among senior family figures, not because of rivalry, but because of fear over how public narratives may shift if historical emotions resurface in modern royal life. Royal historians frequently describe King Charles as someone who has spent decades balancing personal history with public duty. Experts often note that few figures in modern monarchy carry emotional chapters as complex or publicly analyzed as his. So when conversations involving Princess Diana's legacy resurface within family discussion, it naturally places him in an extraordinarily delicate emotional position, because that legacy is simultaneously public history, personal grief, institutional sensitivity. Royal biographers often emphasize that navigating those overlapping responsibilities requires extreme caution, not avoidance, but careful emotional management. And according to observers, moments like these remind the royal family that history is never fully closed. It simply evolves across generations. Outside palace walls, royal legacy has always held deep emotional meaning for the public. Princess Diana remains one of the most globally remembered humanitarian figures connected to modern monarchy. Public affection toward her legacy continues to shape how audiences emotionally connect with younger royal generations. Royal analysts often explain that when younger family members display personality traits or emotional sensitivity, public audiences sometimes naturally draw symbolic comparisons, not because of factual similarity, but because historical emotional connections remain powerful in collective memory. And in the digital age, those symbolic connections can spread globally within hours. According to royal commentators, Catherine represents a modern style of royal parenting focused strongly on emotional openness and childhood development awareness. Her public initiatives around early childhood mental health have reinforced that image globally. But analysts suggest that raising children inside royal tradition while promoting emotional transparency creates uniquely complex parenting decisions. Because emotional openness